Today I want to talk to my fellow pastors, leaders, and shepherds in recovery. Those of us who have carried pulpits while hiding pain, who've preached grace while starving for it ourselves, who've tried to lead like Jesus but keep running into our humanness, our habits, our hurt. We talk about Jesus as the perfect leader, but what happens when we, as pastors, can't live up to that? Do we beat ourselves up? Do we hide in shame? Turn to old habits for comfort? Or can we recover a deeper way to lead? Real, humble, grace-soaked leadership that reflects Jesus.
Welcome to Pastors in Recovery, a podcast dedicated to ministry leaders and pastors navigating the challenges of their own hurts, hang-ups, and habits. Hosted by John Hammond, a grateful believer in Jesus Christ and a pastor on the road of recovery. This space is here to remind you that God's grace is bigger than any struggle. Each episode brings real stories of redemption, practical tools for healing, and encouragement rooted in Christ's promise of renewal. You don't have to walk this journey alone. Let's explore how God meets us in our brokenness and brings light to our darkest moments. Welcome to the conversation.
Today I want to take a look at some leadership styles we see in the world today and really how they compare to how Christ leads. I want to walk through 8 to 12 modern leadership styles pastors might slip into without realizing it, especially when you're hurting, burned out, or performing instead of healing. So I'm going to give you the worldly style, what it offers, and what it costs. And maybe you can identify with some of this. I want you to be really open and honest because I know that I have struggled with different aspects of this. And let's just say on the front end, yes, we want to be like Jesus. Yes, we do want to be like Jesus. But we're human and we have hurts and we have hang-ups and we have habits. So guess what? We're not always like Jesus, right? So here are the kind of the perversions or the worldly styles of leadership in the world today. The first one is called authoritarian. What it offers control, it offers direction. What it costs, fear and isolation. The next style is populist. What it offers, popularity, approval. What it costs, compromise, identity loss. The next style is oligarch, or should I say oligarchic. That's a strange word. An oligarchy. What it offers, power and exclusivity. What it costs, disconnection from the broken. The next style is visionary. What it offers, movement and mission. What it costs, overlooks the moment and the messy. I'm also going to say the detail because this is my tendency right there. The worldly style, next one is transactional. What it offers, structure and results. What it costs, treats people like problems to manage. Sounds like a business manager, right? The next style is servant, distorted servant. What it offers, constant giving. What it costs, burnout and bitterness. Does anybody ever struggle with that one? The next style is perfectionist. What it offers, high standards. What it costs, hidden shame when they're not met. Also kind of reminds me of legalism. The next and last worldly style I'm going to share here is people pleaser. What it offers, short-term peace. What it costs, long-term resentment and compromise. So some of us started leading out of a calling, but did pain shape us into a different kind of leader? Maybe even to a false version of ourselves? So let's look at the leadership style of Jesus and kind of see how that puts us. So we know that Jesus was grace-filled and balanced. Let's paint that real picture of who Jesus was. Jesus' leadership, not as unreachable perfection, but as an example rooted in love, service, truth, and vulnerability. Because Jesus was bold but never brutal, servant-hearted without being spineless, relational, but not a people pleaser. Truthful, but drenched in grace. Intentional, but never self-seeking. In Philippians 2:5-11, it says, "Let this same mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." What's the key truth here? Jesus led from identity, not insecurity. He knew who he was, so he could serve, speak, and sacrifice without fear. And honestly, I struggled with my identity. I was insecure for many years as a pastor. And so I think I really struggled out of fear, insecurity, comparing myself. That's not how Jesus led. So if you're like me, you've wanted to lead like Jesus, but you still fall short, right? Here's the part that gets us as pastors. We know the right way, we preach the right way, but we can't always live it. And when we miss the mark, the shame hits hard. It really hurts. It's discouraging, sometimes the way we behave, the way we act, and we're like, why am I acting like this? Or sometimes it's a blind spot. We don't even know we're acting a certain way, and then maybe our wife calls us out and we get defensive. So let's talk about why it hurts. It hurts because people expect Jesus-level performance from us, don't they? They absolutely do. They want us to be like Jesus. The other reason why it hurts is because we expect perfection from ourselves. And of course, when we aren't perfect, which we're not going to be, we get down on ourselves, right? The third reason why it hurts is when we fail, often what we'll do is we'll isolate, and then we choose to either just hide in that or we numb the pain. And of course, that's where addictions come in, and all of our hurts, hangups, and habits all come together. And we just like, I'm just going to numb the pain. I'm sick of this. And we hide it, and we get ashamed. We feel shameful. And then addiction becomes a coping mechanism for feeling like a failed spiritual leader. So let me give you some insight here. This is for me. This is for me too. We don't heal by pretending we're strong. We heal by admitting we're not. Let me say that again. We don't heal by pretending we're strong. We heal by admitting we're not. Romans 7 says, I don't do the good I want to do. What a wretched man I am. Who will rescue me? It's important that we remember today that Jesus is the only one who can lead perfectly, and he still chose us to carry his message. Then how do we lead like Jesus in recovery? I want to give you some practical things to think about here. I mean, yeah, we want to be like Jesus. We don't want to lead in a worldly way, but we do fail, right? So instead of being hard on ourselves, how do we lead like Jesus within our recovery? Well, it's not by performance, but it's by posture. It's not by image, but by intimacy with God. So here's some ways we can reflect Jesus without faking it. It's like my kids will say, you're faking it. You're a faker. Well, we can be fakers, right? So we serve from scars. We don't serve from image. That's powerful. It's not because we want people to see us serving. We serve because we give back, because we've had scars and we've needed the touch of somebody coming and serving in our life. And so then we serve from our scars. We don't serve from image. Secondly, we speak truth even if our voices shake. Wow. It's hard to speak truth sometimes, but when we speak truth in love, even if our voice is shaking in that moment, we're motivated like Jesus. He didn't fake it. He spoke the truth, even in love. Thirdly, let your story of relapse, shame, and restoration be your sermon. Guys, your congregation wants to hear about your journey. I'm not saying you have to lay it all down and say, yeah, hey, I looked at porn last night. I'm talking about they need to know that you're on a journey. And they need to know that you are human and that you have yelled at your kids and, you have exceeded the speed limit. That's just the starting place. But you could talk a little bit about relapse. You can talk a little bit about shame. You can talk a little bit about how God has restored you through your recovery process. That's powerful. That's a powerful sermon. Next is model brokenness with courage. People need to know that you are courageously walking in brokenness. You don't have to act like you're all together. And you know what that does for us? It takes away pride and it gives us humility. And isn't that something that Jesus is? Jesus was humble. When we walk in humility It's because we're walking in brokenness with courage. And finally, let's let Jesus be the hero of our ministry, not our reputation. Hey, I did this. I did that. Look at me. Look at my name's on that. My name's on this. Let's let Jesus be the hero of our ministry. Let's always point to Jesus as the one who saved us, the one who healed us, the one who has kept us on the road to recovery, the one who makes it even possible to recover, the one who has given us this opportunity to serve in these congregations, the one who's given us the ability to preach a sermon, the one who's given us health, all these things. It's Jesus is the hero. He's the one that saved that person on the street. Jesus is the one that it was there in your community when you're handing out water bottles during the parade last year. It's Jesus. Let's let Jesus be that hero. And I just want to kind of wrap this up with some final thoughts. Remember, you're not called to be Jesus. You're called to follow him. And as you follow him, even limping, even bleeding, you become the kind of leader who points people to hope, not to hype. That's how people see Jesus. When we're following Jesus, people see Jesus. So remember, you're not failing by being human. You're failing when you're hiding your humanity. Jesus, help us drop the masks. Help us recover, not just as people, but as leaders. Make us more like you, not an image, but an intimacy. And when we fall short, remind us that you already carried that shame to the cross. Hey, pastors, I want to invite you to a safe place. Go to pastorsinrecovery.com, and there we have set up a forum. You can sign up and be a part of an ongoing conversation in a safe and vetted location. Secondly, if you want to reach out to me, pastorsinrecovery@gmail.com, and you can go to YouTube and find our website at youtube.com/@pastorsinrecovery on YouTube. And we'll see you in the next episode.